tried to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin?
Right.
Yeah, it's not exactly as simple as pulling out your debit card, is it?
Not quite.
Not quite. That's the headache DECARDS says they want to cure, and we're going to dive into their whole pitch, their promises, and see if they might actually be onto something.
Yeah, we've got their pitch deck, we've got company profiles, even some interesting stuff on their LinkedIn.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, should be fun.
Okay, so DECARDS, what's the deal?
So imagine this, right? You've finally gotten the hang of crypto.
Okay.
You're buying, you're selling, you're feeling like
I'm in the club.
yeah, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But then you want to actually spend some of that crypto,
Right.
out there in the real world.
Yeah.
And bam, it's like hitting a wall.
Right. It's like, oh, I have this treasure chest full of doubloons.
Exactly.
Which are cool in theory, not so much at the checkout counter.
Exactly. And that's the gap DECARDS is trying to bridge. Their pitch is all about making crypto spendable anywhere you would use a regular debit card.
Okay, how are they going to make that magic happen?
So they've created this thing, they're calling it a widget.
A widget.
A widget, yeah. And essentially, it's a tool that lets crypto platforms offer their users instant conversion to good old-fashioned U.S. dollars.
Okay.
So you can think of it like a little engine running in the background that instantly swaps your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, whatever you've got, into dollars loaded onto a prepaid card.
Like a crypto-to-cash converter.
Exactly.
Hidden behind the scenes.
And they're really leaning into 3 major selling points here.
Okay.
So first, no KYC.
And for those who are not fluent in crypto, KYC means know your customer.
Yes.
Which is basically all those identity checks and hoops that you have to jump through.
Right.
Which a lot of crypto enthusiasts are not fans of.
Exactly. So DECARDS is really betting big on the appeal of privacy and ease of use.
Makes sense. Okay.
Second, they're promising instant transactions.
Okay.
No more waiting around for transfers to clear, no more complicated off-ramping processes.
Right.
You want to buy something, you buy it, just like with a regular debit card.
Okay, that's slick.
And the third big one, low fees.
Okay.
Fees are obviously a major pain point in the crypto world, so DECARDS is hammering home the idea that their solution will be cheaper than the competition.
Right. So they're pitching this widget to crypto platforms, trying to get them on board, integrated into their systems.
Yeah.
But they also mention targeting individual users directly with these prepaid cards, too.
So it's a smart two-pronged approach, right? Get the platforms on board. You instantly tap into their existing user base.
Right.
But by going directly to users with a product they can use every day, that's how you build brand loyalty.
Right.
And that's potentially how you disrupt a whole system.
Ambitious. But before we get into whether they can actually pull it off, let's talk about DECARDS, the company. Yeah. They're pretty new on the scene, right?
Brand new.
Yeah.
Founded this year, 2024.
Wow, okay.
By a guy named Dennis Dimov.
Okay.
He's based in the U.S. And, the good news is has a track record of launching successful startups.
Okay, good sign.
Which is always a good sign, yeah. But what's interesting is, even though they're so new, they're already claiming to have partnerships with some pretty big crypto platforms.
Yeah, they're claiming over 15 million users across these partner platforms.
There you go.
If their Unicorns Club profile is to be believed.
Right.
Which, speaking of, that seems to be their main stomping ground right now.
It's where they're living, yeah. They're using it for fundraising, obviously.
Right.
Currently in the midst of a pre-seed round where they're aiming to raise $500,000.
Okay.
But they're also using it to build hype and attract investors.
Right.
It's all about visibility.
So they're definitely making a splash, but the question is, can they deliver?
Right.
Can DECARDS deliver? Let's actually dig into the nuts and bolts of this widget and see if it's really as groundbreaking as they're saying it is.
So their pitch deck actually gets into the nitty-gritty a little bit.
Okay.
And it's a pretty simple concept when you really get down to it.
Okay.
Let's say you want to buy that cup of coffee with Bitcoin, right?
Okay, yeah.
You'd have your DECARDS prepaid card linked to your crypto holdings, just like you would with a regular bank account.
Okay.
So you go to pay, you swipe your card.
Just like normal.
Like normal. And behind the scenes, DECARDS does its thing.
Okay.
They're instantly converting the required amount of Bitcoin into U.S. dollars.
Right.
At the current market rate.
Okay.
Boom. Payment made.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a good pitch. But you mentioned earlier, they're really pushing this idea of low fees.
Right.
How do they plan on making money?
Yeah. Good question.
If they're undercutting everybody else.
So they make their money through what are called interchange fees.
Okay.
So basically, every time you swipe your card,
right,
the merchant pays a small percentage of that transaction.
So like Visa, MasterCard, whatever.
Exactly, to the payment processor.
Right.
DECARDS would then take a cut of that interchange fee.
Okay.
Their argument is that even with a smaller cut,
Right.
they can still be profitable because of the volume of transactions.
So it's a volume game.
Exactly. It's a volume game.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's got to be a catch somewhere in here.
Right.
Like, what's to stop Visa or MasterCard from just being like,
oh, yeah,
we'll take a little cut and we'll just do it ourselves?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? DECARDS is not entering a wide open market here.
Right.
There are already companies out there
Okay.
trying to bridge this crypto to cash gap.
Yeah.
Their pitch deck actually mentions a couple of competitors,
Okay.
like Synapsify and Apto, who are also creating platforms for prepaid cards linked to digital assets.
So they're not the only player in the game.
Not even close.
Okay, so what makes them think they can outmaneuver these other companies?
So they're betting on a few things. First, that no-KYC card.
Right.
Big differentiator.
Okay.
A lot of their competitors, especially the ones working with traditional banks,
Right.
still require those identity checks. Second thing they're emphasizing is ease of integration for platforms.
Really?
They're saying integrating their widget is as simple as adding a few lines of code.
Right.
So they're really pushing that.
So speed, simplicity, focus on user privacy. I mean, it's classic startup playbook.
Yeah, for sure.
But can they actually do it?
Well, they're claiming in their pitch deck that their minimum viable product, their MVP, is already live.
Okay.
They've got 4 platforms using it.
Okay.
They say those platforms have a combined user base of over 4 million.
4 million users.
That's what they're saying.
That's not too shabby.
It's not bad, right?
Especially for a company that's less than a year old.
It's early days.
Yeah.
It's a pitch deck.
Yeah.
So grain of salt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Until we see some independent verification.
Yeah, totally.
But it's also important to remember that even with some early traction,
Right.
DECARD's success is far from guaranteed.
Right.
They're navigating a very tricky landscape. And there's one, like a big looming question we haven't even touched on yet.
Are you talking about regulation?
Yeah.
Because, the crypto world is, shall we say,
it's a thing.
Famous for its
evolving relationship.
It's evolving relationship with the powers that be.
With the powers that be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an understatement.
Yeah.
The regulatory landscape, especially here in the U.S., constantly shifting.
Yeah.
DECARDS is making some pretty bold claims about compliance.
Yeah.
But, whether they can actually navigate the legal complexities of traditional finance and the evolving world of crypto remains to be seen.
It's like they're trying to build this bridge across a river, but the banks are still moving.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a moving target.
Yeah. But let's say, hypothetically, they thread the needle, they navigate those regulatory rapids, right? What does a win for DECARDS even look like at that point?
So if they could really deliver on all these promises, right? The low fees, ease of use, and that, all-important regulatory compliance, they could become a major player in this space.
Okay.
Imagine a world where using crypto is as simple as swiping your credit card.
Right.
That's the vision they're selling, right?
Yeah.
And it's a powerful one.
Yeah, no more mental gymnastics trying to figure out how to turn my Bitcoin into something I can actually use at the store.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see the appeal. But even if their tech is being solid, the regulators are happy, they're still up against
some pretty stiff competition here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're a small fish in a big pond, right?
Right.
You've got established players like we were talking about before, like your Synapsifys, your Aptos.
Right.
Not to mention the possibility of Visa, MasterCard. Just being all right, we're just going to do this ourselves.
Right. We're going to muscle in.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's not just about having a good idea. It's about having the resources, the strategy.
You got to play the game.
Yeah. It's a high-stakes game.
It's a chess match.
Yeah, for sure. And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Because DECARDS seems to be framing themselves as more than just another fintech startup.
Right.
Their LinkedIn is where we really see this other dimension come out.
Interesting.
They're talking about a spiritual and technological renaissance.
Okay.
They're invoking Prometheus.
Wow.
The Greek titan who brought fire to humanity.
Big shoes to fill.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah.
So are they just really good at marketing? Or do they actually believe?
Right.
Like they're on this mission to like revolutionize the financial system.
It's hard to say for sure.
Right.
But I think it speaks to like a larger trend that we're seeing, right?
Okay.
DECARDS, whether they succeed or fail, represents this growing desire that's out there for a more decentralized financial system, one where you're not relying on traditional banks and institutions, where you have more control over your own money.
Yeah, it's an idea that resonates with a lot of people, especially in the crypto space, but it's also an idea that faces, you know, a lot of challenges, practical, philosophical.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's that tension, that push and pull between the old and the new that I think we're going to see play out again and again as crypto becomes more integrated into our lives.
It's the story, isn't it?
It's the story. And DECARDS is right there in the thick of it, trying to figure it out.
Right in the thick of it.
Trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Right.
What's the takeaway?
Yeah, good question.
From our deep dive into the world of DECARDS, I think it boils down to this. Keep an eye on this company.
Okay.
Not necessarily because they're guaranteed to be the next big thing, but because what they're trying to do is kind of a microcosm of a much bigger story that's unfolding.
It's a window into the future, really.
It is.
Of finance.
Yeah. Whether DECARDS succeeds or fails, the questions that they're grappling with, how to make crypto more usable, how to navigate the regulations, how to bridge that gap between traditional and decentralized.
Those are the questions.
Those are the questions, and they're going to continue to shape the financial landscape for years to come. So that's something worth thinking about. If they pull it off, is this the spark that ignites this larger shift to a more decentralized world?
Yeah.
Or are they, like Prometheus, going to find themselves facing some unforeseen consequences?
Unforeseen consequences. Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
That is the question. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of DECARDS.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was good. And until next time, keep exploring.
Step up your game, join the unicorns club. Making it rain, nothing ever enough. Invest in the future, watch it all blow up. Unicorns club, we take